so market maybe trading a bit flat, so we thought of taking a slight detour into something which is very exciting and is our favorite subject here on ET Now, which is cars. Today, of course, there's a very new, very interesting and fresh vehicle which is launching on roads, and that is from the stable of Maruti. Remember, they told you that they are plugging the gap which exists on their SUV side, and just one after the other interesting products are coming out. This one, of course, is called Jimny. But before we go ahead, what do you prefer, a Jimny or a Thar?
Because we have Mr. Shashank Srivastava lined up, so I'll hold my thoughts on that, right?
Okay. This is being called a Thar killer, by the way.
Thar killer?
Okay, it comes very close.
I'll see if Mr. Shashank Srivastava is able to kind of make me a buyer of Jimny or not. Is he able to sell it or not? For now, I'm in the Thar camp. But first, let's go across to Sharad and try and understand of how the two stack up.
Yes.
And then we'll take it forward. Sharad.
Well, yes, it's a very interesting launch today. In focus is Jimny. Now, this is a 5-door compact lifestyle SUV, and the pricing has been announced today, coming in at 12,74,000 rupees per car. It's starting, and of course, the deliveries will be starting from the Nexa showrooms going ahead. Now, there is an important comparison coming in, and of course, before that, we'd just like to point out like already 30,000 odd bookings as per our channel checks has already been there for the company itself, and they're expecting that this bookings would actually be increasing to 30,000 to 40,000 monthly bookings going ahead. Now, do remember the company itself is aiming to come into the SUV space and dominate this, and also management commentary has been coming in where they are expecting to make India a base for their global exports business as well. Now the direct competition comes, and the main question comes is with Thar from Mahindra Group. So now let's look at how it actually pans out and what's the difference coming onto it. Of course, for Mahindra Thar, if you look at it, the pricing range is actually on a broader side, coming in between 10.5 to 16.6 lakh. And while for Jimny itself, we look at the pricing has been attractive, coming in at almost 12.7 lakh and coming in the range of almost roughly, you could say 15 lakh. And this is a petrol engine, while for Thar itself, if you look at it, it comes in with diesel as well as petrol. So a lot of competition lined up in the SUV space, and this makes it a very interesting proposition.
It's correct. In fact, not only now, it's only heating up, but last few years, the Indian passenger car vehicle market overall is moving towards SUVization, as they are calling it. But Shashank Srivastava is joining us today to talk more about that. Shashank, afternoon. Thank you so much for your time. I must congratulate you. Very competitive pricing that you've launched this year. Talk to us about what kind of numbers are you expecting. Initial inquiries must have started flowing in already at your dealerships.
Yes, so actually, as was rightly mentioned in the introductory remarks by you, that we have already got about 31,000 bookings. That's a fairly good rate because we hadn't announced the prices. We only announced the prices today. And the initial reaction from our dealers and the consumers who had booked the vehicles has been quite positive. Remember, it's a 4-wheel drive vehicle. We don't have a 2-wheel drive option. And it's a 5-door vehicle, which is what the Indian consumer prefers. So I think overall, we are looking at very positive response going ahead. Hopefully, it will add good numbers to our target of becoming #1 SUV manufacturer in the country in this financial year itself.
Targeting to become the #1 SUV player in the country in this financial year itself. But Mr. Shashank, I wanted to get a sense from you. Last year was, of course, about the SUVization, as we talked about. But this is a very niche vertical, right? It's more about off-roading. It's more about being a sports version of the SUV, if I must. Do you think there's enough and large enough market and demand for that? Or will it continue to be very, very niche market?
You are right. In fact, you've put it very rightly. It is a slightly niche market. Remember, it comes under the compact SUV category. The compact SUV category has grown to be the largest sub-segment in the passenger vehicle industry. It's almost 25% now of the overall industry, within which, of course, we have the Brezza and the Fronx already. And this vehicle, the Jimny, addresses the slightly more niche lifestyle SUV category, which is about 50,000 units a year at the moment. Remember, the compact SUV market last year was about 8,70,000, out of which about 50,000 only was the lifestyle SUV market. But we do see a trend towards more people coming into this category, and surely the addition of this one new model, Jimny, in this category would add to the numbers overall.
Shashank, I must say that you have taken a lead here to go a step further beyond the SUVs into lifestyle SUVs. And they say that however niche it might be, but in India, even the niches are as large as some of the entire countries in global, kind of comparison. So it's pretty large numbers. How much potential do you see over the next 2-3 years? Can this
Yes,
side become
I
large?
just mentioned we have one vehicle in this category so far, which is the Thar, and also the Gorkha, but that's totaling up to almost 50,000 units a year. It has been growing dramatically in the last 2 years. In fact, it has grown from small levels of about 8,000 vehicles or so to this 50,000 numbers, and easily with the Jimny coming in, can in fact, I would say, my estimated, it can easily double this market.
This month itself, right? I'm curious to ask you one more thing. Your Grand Vitara, what kind of numbers are they showing up? Because beyond this one, the usual SUV, the mid-sized one, that space has become very large and very competitive, and your Grand Vitara has picked up very well, I must say, because of your hybrid engine, the strong hybrid engine out there. What kind of numbers are you throwing up, and do you see that category also become very large?
Yeah, so that category actually was around 10% a few years back. It's now it's doubled to almost 21%. So it's actually now the second largest category after the compact SUV category. The numbers last year for this category was about 7,60,000. That's pretty large for the overall market size of passenger vehicles of about 39 lakhs. So yes, it's a very, very important category. We have the Vitara, which came in September of last year. We have now actually getting to volumes of about 10,000, slightly less than that. Of course, we have had issues with production in that area because of the semiconductor component supply issue. But yes, it has quickly become the number 2 brand in that category already. And we do hope that with increased production and availability, we can easily challenge to be the market leaders in that segment as well.
Srivastava, that was exactly my next question. With respect to semiconductor issue, is it getting any better? Is production still getting impacted in a big way? And also, if you can quickly help us understand the margin trajectory also, will it have a bit of a northward bias from here on, given how commodity prices have been moving?
Yes, so yeah, you're right. Actually, the problem of semiconductors, we have already stated earlier, continues. We lost production in April as well as May, and we will be losing production in June as well. So Q1 of this financial year 23-24, there would be loss of production because of the semiconductor issue. Remember, last year the total production loss was about 170,000 units. Q3 loss alone was about 45,000 units, and Q4 about 38,000. So Q1 also continues in the same vein, but we do hope that from Q2 we will see improvement, and that should help us, because now this problem, the semiconductor issue, is now limited to production of certain models. And unfortunately, in our case, it has happened in those models where we have a long waiting list and long pending booking, which is largely Ertiga, the XL6, the Fronx, the Brezza, and the Vitara.
Before we let you go, Shashank, I am hearing that you're also working on the only area which is missing in your overall SUV bouquet, if I may say that, and that is the large platform one, the Tucson, the Harrier, that kind of platform. And you will be launching that in the next 12 months. Is that correct, what we gather? You're working on something over there?
Yeah, so in the MPV category, we will have a 3-row. We have already announced a 3-row largish vehicle, which we should be launching perhaps next month. That's what we are planning. So yes, the volumes there may be not so large, but remember, just with Jimny, and we had this discussion a few minutes back, it's not just about the volumes of this segment or that large MPV segment that we'll get into. It's also the fact that we are getting into spaces which Maruti Suzuki was earlier not there. In other words, we are trying to get into a higher price range of vehicles, and also the image, positive rub of image that these models would have on our overall portfolio would also be one of the big returns on getting these vehicles into the market from our stable.
Okay, Shashank, on that note, we'll let you go. Would have loved to chat more, but we have another management lined up, so we need to take adieu.
Nisha, I must tell you something very interesting in 30 seconds. It's not just, it's a special day because not only Jimny pricing and launch is there. Today is the price, the Maruti stock price has also come back to the same levels it was in 2017-18, 9,700 or thereabout. So
Yes.
just,
And may I add?
yeah,
may
sure,
I add,
sure, go ahead.
May I add that I am also a mind reader, and I read you to your minds, and I think you are all going to book the Jimny right now after the show.
I'm sure. I'll wait for that largest MPV.
I might just go for it. We'll come back on that, Shashank, and have an off-the-record discussion.
All right.
Thank you so much for making time, Shashank. Really appreciate you joining us.